a lot of you are a lot more analytical than me. I would just rather pay somebody to do it because that's just mind numbing to me. I'd rather stick needles in my eyes than go through a KV core. However, though, it is something we need to discuss. So I'm going to throw this out to the group today. Nate, being that you're the pace setter, bro, what's
Well,
happening? Good morning.
no, everything is going good. I think we had seven open houses Sunday and eight or seven Saturday, eight Sunday. People were coming through. It seems like people are picking up a little bit. One thing for the group that might help. It seems all the discussion about the buyer brokers agreements
Yeah.
have already gone away. When we first did it for the first 3 weeks, we were trying to tell everybody what to expect. I had a couple conversations. I did two open houses this weekend because I've been doing them to meet people and talk about it. And I had a couple people ask me to explain it to them, but I didn't get any brush back. A couple people said, "Oh, I've already under contract that came through the open house," so that was good. Don't think it's going to be a bad thing. It might be a little tough when we start negotiating if the market gets crazy. But with the market not being super, super tight right now, like we're not seeing multiple offers all the time, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think everybody's going to ease right into it.
Okay. Nate, if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. And Claudia, would you come into Nate's open house and pretend you're a buyer? And I'd like to hear your dialogues.
Okay.
Sure. Hi, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Come
Hi.
on in, have a take a look. So is she going to ask me about the broker? What do you want to what do you want to ask me, Frank?
This is not my thing. This is your guys' thing. Claudia, you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
So, and I'm a buyer, right? I'm a
Correct.
buyer. Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to check out your house. Saw
Looks
that you had some good signage out there and wanted to come check it out. You got my attention.
No, I'm glad you came by. It's a beautiful house. So the house that we're standing in now, so it's a three bedroom. It's a three bedroom, just under 2,100 square feet. This model was built in 1998 when you were able to purchase. This is the original owner. You'll see this den that we have here on this side. This could actually been a bedroom for. So if you're wondering why on title you might have saw that it shows as a fourth bedroom, this is where the closet goes, is just right over here. They had that taken out to make this into an office. We've been on the market for about 7 days. We went on the market. We're priced at 1.2. Single story, which is hard to find in Thousand Oaks. So that's a really tough thing to find. And but it's a beautiful house. It's been really well taken care of. The furnace has been replaced. We have a new air conditioner. We sit on the cul-de-sac. But if you have any questions, let me know. You can see all the great collectibles that we have in the house, and I'll let you know half of them are in the garage, and you're supposed to laugh because the house is almost all full, right? So, but the other half is in the garage, and the person laughs. So, but feel free to come in, take a look. I can show you the kitchen, and we'll walk back to the kitchen, and we have a full bath here. This is our kitchen, all custom cabinetry, custom granite, everything in. So,
That's pretty.
is this what you're looking for?
I'm actually looking for a larger house, like a 5 bedroom. Actually, I'd like to ideally have two masters, but I'm looking for that. So
Oh, you mean like a master bedroom up or a primary up and a primary down?
yeah,
That's
yeah, exactly.
well, so if you're just looking in this area, that's going to be kind of tough. I've been here for 20 what, 25, 26 years. I know that right here in Sunset Hills where we're at today, I don't know of a floor plan with a double master. So if you're looking for a double primary bedroom like that, it's going to have to be something that's kind of, I haven't seen that too much. Some places do have larger or bedrooms on the bottom floor. Maybe you could look at some of those floor plans. There is another home that's coming up on the market next week. That home is on Jasper Court, which is just around the corner. The agent actually called me and let me know a little bit early. So if you'd like to take a look at that, I could get you in. But
Great.
it's a 5 bedroom. It's 3,600 square feet. I don't believe it has two large primary bedrooms, but it's got all the other features you were talking about.
Okay.
If you wanted to give me your information, I could get it over to you. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you on any kind of automatic spam or anything like that. Every call I take comes right to my phone. But what I'll do is I'll text you the address. Maybe we could set up a time to see it. I'll talk to the agent. I'll try to get you more details. How's that sound?
Great, great. Hey, I'm
Okay.
hearing about this. The buyers now have to come up with their own to pay their agent. And do I have to do that?
Well, I'm going to give you. I tell you what. Here's what's really been interesting. I've been teaching this subject for about the last 6 months, so I have your answer. So here's what's going to change. Almost nothing except the wording. So basically, but let me tell you how it works now. So the way it works in the past is we would be able to advertise concessions, or what we called at the time commissions. We would put that on advertisements on the multiple listing service. So when a buyer's agent came, the listing agent would take a listing and would let's say we listed the property for, let's say, 5 or 6%. We would share that commission with another agent, so we were able to advertise what that agent was going to get paid, and it was all wrapped up in the transaction, so the buyer really didn't feel they were paying it. They weren't paying it out of pocket. With the new rules as of August 16th, what happened was real estate agents, this is across the country, and the DOJ backed it, right? So this is the way we do business now. There's a couple of things you need to know. We are not allowed to advertise the amount of concessions, they want to call it now, commissions or concessions, that we're allowed to pay. Okay. So we check a box that says the seller is cooperating or the seller is not. If there was a seller that did not want to pay the agent's commission at all, then it will be noted. Now, I personally have not seen that. Now, I know that some of that's probably out there, but I personally haven't seen it. I have 9 open listings right now, and all of my sellers that I talk to agree to cooperate with the broker's agent. So here's what's going to happen. When you interview the agent and you find your agent of choice, you're going to interview that person and you're going to sign a contract. There's 2 types of contracts, and I forget the acronym, so just forgive me for that. But there's one where you could just sign one property at a time and go see that property. But you have to have that contract signed, and that contract says what that agent charges. Now, if you go see that property with that agent and they write the offer, you just put it in the offer, their compensation. And I've seen pretty much every seller agree to do that. Now, it might not be the amount of compensation the agent's asking for. Let's say they're asking for 3%, and maybe the person only wants to pay 2.5%. So you'll have to work that out with your agent. But there'll never be a time where you have to pay out of pocket that you get stuck in a contract. That would be between you and your agent. You would discuss it. If that, you're going to know if you're going into a house. So look, it's only reality that we know that most people cannot just write a check for the agent's commission out of pocket, right? So basically, the seller is negotiating with the buyer anyway. So it doesn't really matter because it's the buyer's money. So we've found that most sellers still cooperate. That's been my experience. But you do have to sign a contract. The only thing that's different, you won't be running around with one real estate agent all the time for, let's say, a year showing you homes, and then go and decide to walk through an open house like you're meeting me today and then me write the offer. You can't do that. So you can come to a house without a contract on a public open house. So like you can come in today, you can see it. The only other way you can come in, you can call the listing agent. So if the listing agent wants to show you their property, you can come non-represented. Okay. But it's better to have a buyer's agent, whether that's me or somebody else that you've chosen, sign that contract, let them negotiate their fee with the offer. It's pretty much 95% of the time it's going to be business as usual. But anytime that you would have to actually pay separate, you're going to discuss that with your buyer's agent. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been working with somebody a little bit, and she's been really pushy about wanting me to get this thing signed. And it's like I just and I actually called your legal department and found it, and they said no, you can have it signed right at the door. And she comes back and she comes back with, well, my brokerage requires that any activity it needs to be signed. So what do you say about that?
Well, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to speak for any brokerage that I don't know about and the way that they typically do business. It could be a team leader, it could be a broker owner, it could be a small independent, or it could be a large corporation like I work for, which is EXP, which is a larger corporation. But here's what I'll tell you. And here's what I say with the buyers that I work with. Look, I want you to be comfortable working with me. I have no problem having you to sign each individual address. See this one form here? This one, see how we can put 3 addresses on there. If you want to go and you want to sign maybe an agreement to see each individual address as we do that, until you're comfortable with working with me, then that's fine. But when we go into contract, we'll sign the buyer broker's agreement. There could be signed for a maximum of 90 days. When you're comfortable that you have found that I'm the agent that you want to work with or this other person, that's fine. for me personally, I don't really push people in anything because I don't think you can force relationships. I think if I don't do a good job for you and we don't have a good relationship, I don't think it'll work. So what I'm trying to do is show you my value, take you to show property so you feel comfortable signing a 90-day agreement so we don't have to do this every single time we go see a house.
Right.
But for the first little bit, why don't we just take the next 30 days? We'll go see the properties. We'll go see whatever you want to see. But before we go in the home, we'll sign each individual address. I'll write it out. You can just initial it real quick and we'll go take a look at those homes. And then I would represent you on those specific properties. And if you went to see a property with somebody else, but I'm okay with doing that because I think you're going to see my value. You're not going to want to run around with all these different people. You're going to want me to help you. And then we'll sign a 90-day contract when you're
very clear. Thank you. I do see your value.
awesome.
Good job.
There you go, Frank. How's that?
Good job. I know for some of you on here, you're going, oh, crap. Role play scripts.
Oh, it's worked.
The reason Nate is so freaking good is because he does this every day. For us that don't do it, I know for me, I stumble, I say wrong words. We are all human and we do this. But Nate is very good because, you know, my God, he has like 38 homes listed or whatever the case is. But these are the conversations that you need to have every day to get good. I'd like to acknowledge somebody who came on, Michael. Good morning. Michael is the other rock for the winner circle that contributes. And congratulations, Michael. One of your students just did his first transaction, Nathan Visconti.
5.9 million.
Great job. I know Elgin's very pleased with that one. Good job, Michael. Anyway, Claudia, being that you go to a lot of open houses, and a lot of you do too, you know, the conversation about this can be really weird. If you notice Nate's demeanor, he was really calm.
Yeah.
Most of us can't be that way because we don't do confrontation. And when somebody comes at us like this, it's like a confrontation thing. And it's the verbal sparring that you put in your head. And I think it's just really, really important that you practice that. Now, EXP in the world, they have these classes. I really encourage you, as a matter of fact, in the winner circle, on Wednesdays at 9:30, there is contracts class that you need to go to and watch how it is done. There's other local events that you could go to. Your MLS board has these classes, and just click in because what you do today, what are we? September 16th? My God.
Yeah.
This is what's going to make you have a good Christmas because it's what you do today and say today that you're going to have 30, 60, and 90 days out. Okay. Terry, being that you're brand new, I'm not putting you on the spot. How was that?
It was great. I thought the response to the question of just, signing the contract, which contract before you can show a house. Yeah, that was great.
Okay. Because Terry and I talked a little bit today. She's in Arkansas, and I asked her how many she has in her database. I was expecting 150, 200 people. She has 900 people in her database.
Relationships that 900?
Some yes and some no. Some I've gotten from a Facebook group.
Okay. So truth be told, she was in a network marketing group before real estate, which I'm telling you guys, if you've ever done car sales or in network marketing, you've got 50% of this beat. You really do. So I was telling her 900 people in your database should give you 3, and I'm just being very lowball, 3 to 5 deals a year just from your database.
A month.
I'm sorry, a month.
Yeah, a month. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
10%. 10% you should close. 90 deals.
So
Oh,
it really spurred us to talking about how we don't pay attention to our database, hence KV Core, Bold Reigns, whatever they're going to call it, is your bread and butter. And that's something that we should be working, adding and talking to 10 people a day. Do I do it consistently? No, I don't. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. Okay. However, in the last couple of weeks, Chris and I have been working on things, and it's really, really helped. Now, I can go over some of those things later in another call. Michael, tell us what's going on with you. Give us your big wins.
Big wins. Well, we just closed, team just closed one transaction. We have another listing getting ready to close here. And I actually had another person I sponsored and mentee that just closed his first transaction as well. So going out, working with my mentees, going into, like you said, into our database. I've gotten the commitment from a lot of the people I'm working with now. We're starting out. I said, just give me a number, but let's commit every day because you need to pour in how many you do. So I always like to do, as Elgin says, let's start with 5 a day on your transactions, making your contacts, calls, and everything. They've committed to start because they didn't want to overkill with 3, and we're going to go up daily and weekly. But we've gotten commitment from a large number of them to start going. So that was huge. And another win, my son is doing amazing at football.
I see.
Yes, he's become quite the fan and doing well in school. That's more important than football, but and blending into the community and really fitting in. So that's a great thing too.
Well, I know
Proud
Nate,
Papa.
Yes.
I know Nate, Elgin, and we only ask one thing, and that's 50-yard line seats when he goes in the pros.
Yeah, we gotcha.
So congratulations on that. I'm going to open up to a couple of questions. Please make your questions brief so we can get people in, maybe 30-second questions, and we'll turn it over to Claudia, Michael, Elgin, and Nate, or myself. So go ahead.
When we start these out, can I just first comment again too on Nate, on your role play there? One thing I think that you really, really did well that we should all focus on is you got to the point, but you took your time and explained it. So many times do I hear people in a role play or somebody asks them a question and they try to make it as short as possible and get in and get out, and nothing is really explained. So take a breath, slow down. People want to know the answer. They don't want to just get you to give them a quick answer and get out. They want to know the answer, and they will wait and take the time to hear it if you do it clearly like you did. So I thought that was huge.
They want to hear. And you know what else it does? It really gives you a chance to show that you're an expert. When you slow down and you're not alarmed and you don't let a rule change alarm you, and you assure them, then they're like, wow, this person, they brought my pressure level down, and they're much more willing to work with you, I think, when you do that.
You've changed, Nate. Wow, you've come a long way.
Depends on what it is.
All right, so go ahead. Anybody?
I see a couple.
I just want to ask Nate, do you differentiate when you have this conversation regarding buyer representation? Do you use a specific for an occasion, or you just pretty much use the exclusive bond no matter what? What is your take on that?
I'm sorry. Do you mean when you write it down what location it is?
No, like when you have an open house and somebody, let's say, wants to see a property. Let's say they say, oh, let's say you connected with Claudia. And then Claudia says, oh my God, you're really the one that I would like to work with. Can you show me the one actually is 2 doors down that I want to get in, but they don't have an open house?
Ooh.
So in that instant, do you do like one showing? Would you just say, let's actually get together, do an exclusive? What is your approach?
I would keep it as minimal as possible, because I just when I'm doing it, I just act like you're going to work with me. I don't give them any choice. So I think the confidence level, and here's some word plays that I do that helps me do that. I say, let's go see I use the word our home. Like when I'm with a listing person, I say, when I'm talking to my clients, it's our home. I use everything that's connecting language. So when I say, let's you and I go see this, hopefully this is our new home, like nobody ever questions it, but it makes it like I'm taking part in their decision. So I keep it as level as possible. If I wanted to go show one, I'll just right here, 6845 Bird Street or whatever, just sign that one just for the one showing. And we go and see how easy that was. That was no big deal. Right. And I would go show them that one. And then I carry those forms with me if that's what I'm doing. And then when I get to know them a little better and they see that I'm not going to be pushing them into a house, I think one advantage I have is I can say, look, I have a lot of escrows all the time. I want to make you feel really comfortable with something. I don't care if it takes you a day or a year. I'm never going to push you into buying a house. One of the words I use is, I always tell people, you can't use car salesman a house. You're either going to love it or hate it. And I'll tell you, if we look at this home and you think it might work, but you've got that little monkey on your back or that little uneasy feeling about you don't like this, I go, let's just walk away. Because if it's bothering you now, it's really going to bother you once the excitement's over.
That's
So
good.
let's find the perfect home for you with no rush. I don't need to close your escrow to pay my rent, when sometimes I do, but I say I don't. Right. So, and it's take down then when I find, I don't work with a lot of buyers, but then when I find for them to sign the 90-day contract, they'll just sign it. Now, if they're a long time client, I'm just going to send it to them. I'll go, hey, here's a contract. This just we have to have this to get into houses. It's 90 days. We have to have this to get into houses. That's it. I don't tell them anything, and they'll just sign. But those are the database, and what's the lady named Terry has. Okay, when you have a 900 person database, I got to go back to that because that's what I teach on all the time. So hopefully, Ari, that answers your question. I don't try to push them to sign a 90-day to commit to me, because I'm just assuming that they're going to do that anyway. So I'll do a little one. But when you're talking about your database, Terry, you don't ever have to call another lead. You don't ever have to do anything. All you have to do is call your database consistently. And I don't know how many properties you sell. It might be 5, it might be 50. I don't know. Those relationships are where you get all. You don't need to buy a lead. You don't need to pay anybody to do any advertising. You don't need to do diddly. You shouldn't have any expenses at all other than calling your database, talking to them, sending them voice memos. Hey, I was just thinking about you. I saw a house pop up on your street. You know, you could go have them if your database is organized. All of your money, 900 people, you never need more than that to make $1 million. Never need more than 900 to make. Well, I don't know what your price point is in Arkansas, but even if it's 500,000, it's 900 people. You make a lot of money. I don't even have that many. I've got like,
No.
I have 588. Now that will give me 40 listings, and and then my team does another whatever they're doing. So,
Elgin,
Thank you. Thank you for that, Nate.
Yes.
talk to me.
It looks like Clara has her
There's a
hand up.
couple of people. There's a couple of people have their hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Vaya, you have your hand up.
And so does my glasses are on, so I can't see. Clara.
Clara, do you have a question?
Yes. Have you run? Good morning, everybody. Have anybody run a situation that seller doesn't want to pay commission and buyer cannot, and you really don't have anything anywhere that somebody will pay your commission?
I haven't.
I have not ran into that yet. I do feel there's going to be situations where that comes up, and that's where your scripts, your dialogues, to show your value, etc., are going to come into play. I would say to hopefully on the listing, like for myself on the listing agent side, when I'm listing a property, I go over these things with the seller, and I'm doing multiple seller proceed sheets, meaning I'm showing them what it would be at quote unquote what would have been a more of a normalized commission in previously. I showed them what it would be at different points, and then I explained to them that that odds are we're going to have to work with a buyer's agent, and we're going to have to give some concessions. I think that if the listing agent does that up front, it makes it a little bit easier on the buyer's agent when they're showing the properties. But I also have to think, as a buyer's agent, to be very honest, just like keeping it real, is that you really need to have that discussion with the buyer and with the lender that the buyer's using to make sure that they can somehow come up with your compensation if need to. I would put every whatever my commission would be offer that I write for a buyer, I would be writing in the seller concessions, for my commission. And I think that when you do that, a good portion of the time, your sellers are really looking at their net, because hopefully the agent has already prepared them for that. And then you should not have a problem as often, with getting compensated in that manner. But you're having to run into some situations where that's going to happen, and then you have to make a business decision on whether it's something you can still move forward with or not, or if it's something that if it's someone that maybe you aren't able to service, or you service them, and you're hoping for some referrals or something out of them down the road. But I don't really think it's going to come up as much, at least unless the market makes some major shifts. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Thank you.
Divya, is that how you say DIVY? How do you say your name?
Yeah, Divya.
Divya.
Hi, Tim. A very good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have a question. Yeah, most of the buyers are attending to the open houses and new construction homes without reaching out to me as a realtor. After they are interested in some of the properties, they are reaching out to me. And should I write on the term BRBC agreement?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I will not show any properties on the time, right? It will work on the time. After they are visiting the open houses and new constructions, I will not show them, right?
If they're looking at new construction and they're going without you, they're going to ask if they had that agreement signed. If you have people walking, and Elgin's shaking his head, so Elgin, correct me if this is incorrect, but if you know somebody's looking at new construction, you really should get the 90-day, the real one, the BBRs. You should get that signed. Then even new construction is paying. Elgin, am I right on that? At least in our area, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the new construction homes that are already cooperating, quote unquote, they call it referrals. They call it referral fees. They don't call it commission, but they will pay that to you. But you would still want that buyer broker's agreement signed. They have to have that to be able to pay you. But then I'll tell you though, if you guys have a lot of new construction or work new construction, that's a really good way right now to take your clients to. You don't have nearly as much to do, to be honest. Once you have a contract signed, and you probably want to be there for certain things to just make sure that the buyer feels comfortable. But that's a good avenue right now.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm a big proponent of new homes. 6% jump from last year to this year. And I just showed my buyers new homes now. I love it. Easiest money you'll ever make. Good morning, Sid. Are you in Hawaii, or is that just your background?
That is just my background at the moment.
Okay, good. Because I would be really upset with you. Hey guys, market's a little tough. I'm sure everybody's feeling it. Let me share a story with you. Of course, everybody knows my wife is a stager, and she's very, very busy. But my wife works with real estate agents that pay for the staging themselves. Very rare do we get a client that pays for that. So my wife told me she had a real estate agent call and want to know if my wife could stage a full home for $500. Of course, if you know my wife, she's tougher than I am. And Mary says, why would you ask me something so ridiculous? She says, because the seller's only given me 1.5% for the listing. And my wife said to the realtor, why does your problem become my emergency? Of course, you know where she got that from. Okay. So we are facing that right now because a lot of people here in this region in Sacramento, they're taking 1.5% listings just to get the listing.
Wow.
Yeah. People are struggling. They're trying to feed their families, and I get it. However, stand your ground. You're better than that. Okay. You are better than that. Go out and get what you're worth. Are you?
Well, I had my hands up for a question for everyone. But on that note, that's exactly why I'm so happy that we actually negotiating. The seller can negotiate with their agent, whatever the 1.5 is. But when you have a good offer, then you negotiate on your behalf with the buyer representation what you're worth. And then if not, then either your client would pay that. If not, then you can take them elsewhere. But I mean, that's exactly why I know that pretty much we separated that. So no longer a rookie or someone who is incompetent would go negotiate a total composition of 1.5 or 3% or 4%. And then now we get the half of it because somebody didn't do their job. So I'm really happy with it. By the way, it's not 90 days, is 3 months. And that's the biggest mistake that people make is 3 months. It's not 90 days. And that's one of the things is that at least in Sacramento, I love the buyer representation, but I think this is a discriminatory date because 90 days, Why is it that we do the listing at a year or longer? And then when it comes to buyers, which is harder to really get a feel for it, then now we have 3 months only. It would not work. Most of my buyers, if they're in the 400 price point in Sacramento, it takes me just 3 months to warm them up, make some offers, get them to kind of just see that they need to go higher, or maybe get them to realize that maybe we cannot buy that Taj Mahal home. They need to settle with that condo, that with the HOA that they never wanted. I mean, whatever it is. But the 3 months is way too short. Eventually, that's going to change. But that's the only thing that I really don't like it.
Okay.
On the comment to Diva.
Do you have a question?
I have a question. My question was to everyone that uses buyer representation. Nate, you mentioned that, how easy you work with. What I want to ask is, have you ever used a financial form that is already available, and are you having a question with the buyer to see if they qualify and what they can pay?
Excellent question. Excellent. Nate, Elgin, Michael?
No,
I have not.
I don't. That's what the lender's for. What my conversation with the buyer is I'll refer them to a lender that I know and can trust, and or ask them to use someone that they already know and or trust, and have them either, there's certain parts of this, in my opinion, through some experience, that you don't necessarily need or want to have too much liability to, or too much information. I can get the information specifically from the lender after that lender's told me that they're good or they're not, and or what they need to do to get themselves prepared. So for me to go over their financial information, to do all of those steps, to me, it's not, one, it's none of my business. And two, it's time consuming for me. Now, this is different from everybody else. You guys might want to do all of that and take their credit and look at their financials and get W-2s and do all that. That's what the lender's for. So I'm going to have them with a lender that thoroughly does that properly, that is going to lend them money, because I'm not going to lend them any money no matter how good they look on paper. So it's not my position. So now, again, if you got one person you're dealing with and you're going to work with one person for the year, you might, some of those things that you might do, but when you start working with multiple people, multiple families, you start getting in multiple situations, you're doing Nate's numbers. Everybody calls in before you take them out, you do all that. Man, I don't want no complete financial package on them. I don't want that much time with them. Listen, this is as a business, I'm building relationships, but I'm not building relationships with everybody. And it's a business, I don't need everybody. So I don't need all that information about them. I don't want to give all of my information to someone. Like if I was working with a real estate agent and they asked me all that and wanted the financial statement, I would even naively, I would want to know why you want to know all that information before you show me a house. I haven't seen a house. Why am I going to give you my social security number, my bank account, my money? I'm not doing that. So since I would not do that to someone, I don't ask them to do that for me. I got a professional that does that, and they can have that conversation. They can have that argument, fight, whatever it is. And by the time they come back to me, the lender just making me look good, and then I can go out and take them. It's my personal opinion.
Very good, Elgin. I love that.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing.
Sid,
I'm sure they're pre-qualified.
Sid, you had a question, sir.
Well, I was just saying, we are definitely not seeing lower listing rates here. Actually, if anything, we're probably even seeing at higher rates.
Sid, can you tell everybody where you're at so they know?
Yeah, but mainly the Portland, Oregon metro area, and all the surrounding communities around there and coastal properties. But my listing fees, I'm actually started to raise them a bit because, to the seller, they're, kind of like before, it was like, the kind of the general rule of thumb is about 6 coconuts or so, right? It depends on where you're at. But now that the listing agreement's different and basically they're only representing me, I'm finding I can inch it a bit on my side.
I am. Me too, Sid.
And I'm like, why not?
No, yeah.
And then I just tell them, the buyers, agents, they're going to put in their offer. Everyone's going to be completely different. We are not in control of that. And what we're going to do is evaluate it on an offer by offer basis. And then you can decide if that's what you want to pay or what we can negotiate. But my fee is set, that's just the way that is. And also, it depends if we do staging. I charge for staging. I charge extra if I'm doing staging because it costs money. It's not free. That's addition to what your listing services are. And people are more than willing to pay that if you could get them the better price. And with that being said, if we stage a house, I'll sell it in 3 days. If it's unstaged, it'll sit for 3 months. What do you want to do?
Guys, Sid is killing it too, by the way. I mean, he's no slouch. He's doing very,
Does
very
a lot
well.
of deals. Sid does a lot of deals, man.
Claudia, did you raise your hand?
I did. So I want to hear from the pros how they handle the situation. I had this gal say, well, I'm buying a new house. I don't need you. You don't have to do anything. And I'm explaining, well, you need representation, but I want to hear what the pros have, how they handle it.
Michael, why don't you start?
So, much like everybody said, so you're buying a house, you don't need me. That's true. When they come in your mind, you're going to walk in just like walking into a used car dealership or walking in to buy a new car, right? You can walk in, they'll have everything set up and all lined up for you. It's very easy. All you have to do is sign the paperwork. But do you feel comfortable, or do you know somebody in your family? Because I know a lot of people in my family, when they go in to buy a new car, they will bring somebody who they know is good at negotiating. And that person will negotiate the price and the terms and deals with them. And this is what you're getting when you have me coming in representing your best interest in a home. And it's not just, here's a bunch of documents, sign them. This is just the way that it is. Because I'm going to be able to go over those documents. I'm going to be able to tell you what we can negotiate for you. And you're going to end up with the better price. You're going to end up possibly, and you're going to end up also knowing that you're covered and you have everything taken care of.
So you can negotiate a brand new house price?
Yes,
Yes.
you can.
When the market's not screaming. And that's great, Michael. Another thing that I tell them, and I'll say, you know what's really interesting about that? I can tell you one thing that I can do to save you a fortune and a lot of headache. And that's, I'm going to come in when the builder has commissions or concessions for me. Either I get it or the builder keeps it. They don't give it to you. But one thing that I do know is we're going to come in and have a home inspection on that brand new house that looks like it's perfect. That brand new house that looks like it's perfect will have 4 pages of problems.
That's right.
So that in itself, they're going to pay me from a pot that has nothing to do with what you're paying. I'm going to look over all your documents, just like Michael. And if there's any concessions they're giving us as realtors because they want to keep us happy because the markets go up and down, I would give the dialogue that Michael gave. I'm going to have your home inspected by a professional inspector, and then I'm going to negotiate repairs because believe me, just because it has nice, beautiful countertops and stainless steel appliances and it looks all pretty and white when you're moving in, that's not the case. There's all kinds of outlets that are in bad spots. There's all kinds of things that are wrong. So we need to make sure all that. And there's other things that I can do too, but that's my value that I'm bringing. And they're paying me. They're not giving you that savings anyway. So why not take the full package and let me handle that for you?
Awesome. Thank you.
That's
Nate,
what
I lean on them too regarding, I will ask a buyer, let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Have you ever known or seen or heard of a standing inventory that a builder may have? And they'll always say, what's that? I still, there's some opportunities right now that if you are working with the agents that are new home agents, that they'll give you some ideas of some homes that may already be built that buyers backed out of, didn't qualify for, whatever the case may be. And what if I told you that that home that you were about to pay $1 million for, what if I were able to negotiate with you and you got the same house for about $850? Would that make you happy? But you would never know that, right? Because they're not going to tell you that the house that they're willing to sell it for $850. You're not going to have any knowledge of that, and there's nobody representing you to do so. Or what if that particular builder right now maybe has not only great financing that could possibly help you, what if there were opportunity for you to get another $40,000, quote unquote, on incentives to where you're actually getting upgrades in the home that is being really paid for by the builder and not being sucked up into your sales price? I said, those are opportunities you're not going to have any knowledge of if you don't have someone that's at least working on your behalf and asking the right questions.
Nate.
Yes.
One question for you. You said that for new houses, you will give them inspection. Is it that means that you will pay for it? How you will give them?
I mean, I don't pay for it. I would say that the builder would probably discourage them from having any kind of an outside inspection.
How you will give them inspection?
But I just was going to make sure that I would set them up with a professional inspector and I would advise them that's something that they wouldn't have done themselves. But now look, if I'm signing up a house in Santa Clarita and that house is, I don't know, 1.4 million and they're paying 3%, do the math on that. I'll pay for their inspection. I'll pay for their freaking whatever. I'll pay for their gas bill. I'll take them out to dinner. I'll pay, you know, whatever. Just to give you an example of the way I work things really quick. I got a call from a guy that asked me, would you like to, I'll tell you a quick story, just a word story. I'll just do one. Last month, we're just getting ready to close. He called me and he goes, do you lease properties? I'm in 5 Points, Valencia, and I have a 2,500 square foot house I want to lease. I said, you want to lease? Where are you moving to? He goes, well, my wife's having another baby. We've only been in this house 2 years. And I signed up for new construction up Toro for 1.4 million. I want to buy this house. And I go, did you already sign up without an agent? He goes, yeah. And I go, I said, hey, has your wife signed up? He goes, no, she wasn't with me. I go, stop. Let me go up there and sign up your wife because I got some money for you. I can get you extra money. Whatever. I come back, I go sign them up for 1.3 million. Took the wife in there without the husband. They had to honor it. So that was 14, 28, 30, $42,000. So him and I worked it out. Okay. So what I'm saying is I was able to give him some value. Then when you ask the question about, do I look at their financials like Elgin was talking about? I typically don't. But when we went to lease the house, he wanted me to help him lease. I said, hey, why don't you let me look at this and see if this is the best thing that you could do? So because he's 30, he's a professional football player. He got hurt. He's not doing that now, but he's only 30. So he broke out his financials. So I said, okay, so you want to lease this house. They're having a lot of problems in this area. You're going to be about $1,500 a month in the negative if you lease it. But he goes, yes, but if I sell it, I'm going to take a $30,000 to $40,000 loss. I go, well, let's look at your financials. So I looked at his financials, found out that he had a trust fund and he had $400,000 he made from the NFL for 1 year. He had a trust fund. And then I go, how many people have their eyes on your finances? He goes, all of them. And I go, and you want to put a really nice backyard on your nice big fancy house, right? Right. I go, if you pull money out of that trust fund, who's going to see it? Everybody, my whole family. I go, they're not going to like you spending 200 grand on their yard, are they? No, they're not going to like that at all. And I said, and this other money is your down payment money, right? Yeah, that's my down payment money. So if we sell this house, you're going to clear 160. You're not going to be 1,500 a month negative in the hole. Nobody's looking at your 160 you're going to spend on your new yard. You're not going to hear after any grief from the in-laws that have that trust fund for you, right? So he ended up selling the house. So I sold him from a call for a lease. I was able to sign him up for new construction, got him that house, went and listed his house, just got the offer accepted on his new house. Okay. So was able to turn that into about a $65,000 deal. Okay. So when people are calling you, if you know that you're a professional and you can provide solutions, they don't care if you make money as long as it benefits them. You have to show the benefit to them. So I was able to get him out of his house, but the benefit to him is his father-in-law wasn't going to determine how much money he spent on his backyard where he had the trust fund because he didn't want to use his football money. Does that make any sense? So that's just some ways that you just have to always be looking for your angle, and everything doesn't work all the time. You don't always win. I have tons of losses. I'm like Trump. I don't tell you all of my losses. I only talk about my wins, right? I just win. He doesn't talk about the millions of losses. So
yes, usually real estate talk about winnings,
right.
but
We
losses.
just talk about wins. So, but what I'm saying is that was a big win. I've got a lot of other big wins, but I've also got some losses. So I think you just have to transact and always be looking to try for a win. But when you get a loss, let it go. Don't think about it. Go on. Another call comes in, another call comes in, another call comes in. But you are going to have losses along the way. But when you look at the end of the year, if you're always looking for those ways, you just go for the wins and talk about the wins and keep the wins in your mind, and you'll keep getting wins.
Okay. Anybody have one more? We're about 10 minutes over. Sid, really quick.
Just super fast. As representing a buyer on new construction, always get a third-party inspector. I can't tell you how many times we've, find problems, but also we solve a lot of problems for our clients, and they're so grateful, and that makes your fee totally worth it.
Totally worth it. Couldn't agree more. All right, everybody, we're going to end on a great note. Thank you for the fellowship today on our call.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I know it takes time out of your day. We try to make this as entertaining as we can, and we'll see you here next Monday at 10 a.m. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Always
Very
learn something.
valuable.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Great
everyone.
to see you.
Thank you.